This will wrap up section 2.6. I just want to do some quick translation problems. And from our translation problems, then I want to go ahead and do evaluation. So we're going to let x equal the number in each of these cases. And x is going to be equal to a -2 in each case as well. So what we have going, the first one, we have the quotient of, so we need the and to go with that. And then that is anding those two things. So quotient, remember, means a division problem. So 72 divided by, and then twice, remember, is an operator, the number. So 2 and x. So there's our translation problem. And then we're going to evaluate this. So that says 72 over 2 times a -2. And so that's going to give us 72 divided by a -4. And so a positive divided by a negative is going to give us a negative. 4 will go into 7 one time with 3 left over, and 32 8 times. So the value of this expression when x is equal to -2 is a -18. Moving on to part B, it says subtract. So we're going to subtract something and something, so we'll need the and there, and it's going to be this thing and this thing that follows. So we have 5 times the number, so I'm going to let x equal my number here, and then we have 5 times that number, so 5x, and we're going to subtract, so subtract this and that, that's the order they come in, and then what we're subtracting is complicated, the quotient of, and quotient means division, and so it's the quotient of 10 and our number x. So there's our translation problem, and then we want to evaluate that when x is equal to -2. So 5 times a -2, and then minus 10 over a -2, and then we'll simplify. So we have a -10, and then subtract, and 10 divided by a -2, which is a -5, and so now we have a -10 plus 5, and -10 plus 5, of course, we know is 10 minus 5, and 10 minus 5 is a 5, and it's negative because the 10 is larger. So just write that really quickly so you can see what I was saying. And that's what we had right there. All right, moving on to the third one, the product of. So we have a product of something and something. So we have the number and the sum of, and that's going to be complicated. So we'll need to get the two things that we'll be summing there. And so the product of means multiplying, so the number x, and then we're multiplying it by the sum of 5, and then we have our number squared. And so that's what that's going to be. So squared, remember, is an operator that means an exponent. So there we have our translation. And of course, our x was equal to a -2, so evaluating that thing, we have a -2, and then we have a 5 plus, and then we have a -2 being squared, and then that closes the parentheses. So that says a -2, and then times 5 plus, and this is a -2 multiplied by a -2, and that's going to give us a +4, and then that says a -2, not distributive property, remember, order of operations, times a 9, and negative times a positive is a negative. 9 times 2 is 18, and there's our value when x equals 2. Excuse me, -2. And that will wrap up our translation problems.